Welcome back to Finnegan Begin Again.
Here we have the original style of temperature indicator. So you can see I've got a bubble down in there, so it's indicating 100 degrees. But this is an original one, and it has a fluid in it that the feds no longer allow, but it is a temperature sensitive fluid, and it's really good at measuring the temperature there. So there's this thin copper tube that we're not focusing on until we get down here to the bottom, where there's the bulb that goes into the head of the flathead. So the way the bulb fits is this goes down in the head, and inside of the original iron heads, this little flange sat on top of a flange inside of the head. And then this nut comes down, threads down, and crushes them together and seals it off so that your coolant doesn't come out. Well, in my aluminum heads, it doesn't have that flange, so we have this fitting right here, which you can see there is that flange down inside of there. Unfortunately, it's just a little bit too small, so we're going to ream it out to fit the bulb so that I can use an original style threaded thermometer to have on my dashboard. So here we go.
Watch this, I'm gonna make some metal chips. Ta-da! That's it.
Now you can see that it fits in there just perfectly. Beautiful. And I can install it. Yay! Oh, let's focus on that again. Oh, there we go. Good. Okay. Now that we've got the temperature indicator sorted out, which is hanging right here, and it's gonna stay hanging right here to see if there's potentially a bubble that's in there that can work its way up and not have it reading 100 degrees when it's 60 degrees in this garage. Anyway, that's sorted. Now we're going to move on to other things. We have 4 ports in the head for the coolant area. I'm going to use all 4 of them. Now, because I have an aluminum head on an iron block, having those 2 metals together in an aqueous solution can lead to electrolytic decomposition, electrolytic corrosion, basically. To stop that from happening, I have sacrificial zinc. So the ions in the water that get generated are going to, or cations, whichever one it is, are going to preferentially attack this piece of zinc rather than the aluminum or the iron in there. So I'm going to be putting one on each side. I've got 2 of these. I'm going to be putting one in each head so that both sides of this water solution, and then it all mixes up here. Both of it is going to be in contact with the aluminum, and we won't be sacrificing our aluminum to the rust gods. The other thing that we're going to do is we're going to install a switch, a temperature switch, into this one right here. So what this is going to do is this is going to serve as, once this hits 185 degrees, that's what this switch is set to, 185 degrees, it's going to close this switch and activate the fan to come on through this relay using this 15 amp fuse so that we don't blow anything. Now this isn't, I don't know whether you'd say it's an upgrade or not, but it is obviously more modern technology than using an electric fan, because I don't want to run a fan off of this generator alternator because it's not built for it, and we can get our temperature up to 180 quicker, which is good. So that'll go in, and these 2 will go in, and then I'm going to hold off on putting the thermometer bulb in because this needs to feed through the firewall up to, and this one, the indicator up here actually won't fit through the hole in the firewall, so this needs to feed reverse through the firewall and then be led to that. So this is going to go on after the body goes on in its final state and we start putting the dash. So let's get busy. last thing I want to do before the body goes on to go get the exhaust put on is I want to run the fuel line all the way up to the front, and then I can be sure that everything that's, well, basically it's easier to do from the top rather than from the bottom, but it'd be easy to bend my lines and get it fed up there and make sure that it's going to feed correctly and avoid the exhaust, because I have the exhaust wraps to try and keep the heat off of the brake line and the fuel line, but I want to make sure that it's enough distance away that it's not going to cause a problem. So with that, I'm going to start bending, starting back here at the tank, bending around the frame up to the front, probably underneath that front exit member. And then we'll worry about the end of it later when the body is on for good, and I'll connect the end of the line to the rubber hose that's going to connect to the pump. So I'm going to put that on time lapse because this is going to take a while. Well, time lapse didn't work. Thought I pushed the button, or maybe it just, I thought I pushed the button. But anyway, I have bent up the tube. You just don't get to see it. So here you can see that the ferrule has gone down in, and the nut on top of it is now cinched in between. It's now tight in between. There's a nice little gap there where it's not on the frame, curving back to the first clamp, down through the frame hole there. Also, there's clearance, so it's not rubbing up against that frame. To the next clamp, through the frame hole, again clearance, next clamp, and then it's going to go bend itself underneath the X frame and come up at this point. So I should have enough to bend the end back up against the firewall, where there's a clamp that holds it in place against the firewall, and then I have the fitting on the end to mate up to the rubber hose that then goes out to the pump. So instead of this rubber hose, I have one that came from, what, 3rd generation auto parts, whatever. And that'll be the completion of the fuel system. All right, now it's time to get the body on and get it off to get its exhaust done. It's exhaust pipe day. Down here getting our pipes bent. Muffler's on. It's gonna purr like a kitten. All right, it's done. Got me some mufflers. And the exhaust system, it's gonna purr beautiful. So, with that, I'm excited. Next time I start the engine, it's gonna be purring like a kitten, and I won't have to wear ear protection. Even though, what I understand from my fellow car enthusiasts, that wearing hearing protection when you're running your engine, not a good thing. Oh well, I'm very protective of my hearing. I have a father and grandfather went deaf from machinery. So until next time, thanks for watching, and we'll see you later.